Coming up on 5 Minute News. Texas gunman who killed 8 was white supremacist. SUV driver hits crowd at Texas bus stop, killing 7. And Godfather of AI says threat may be more urgent than climate change. It's Monday, May 8. I'm Anthony Davis. Federal officials were looking into whether the gunman who killed 8 people at a Dallas area mall was a white supremacist, as they worked to try to discern a motive for the attack. Federal agents have been reviewing social media accounts that they believe 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia used and posts that expressed interest in white supremacist and neo-Nazi views. Garcia also had a patch on his chest when he was killed by police that read RWDS, an acronym for the phrase right-wing death squad, which is popular among white extremists and white supremacy groups, as incited by disgraced former President Donald Trump and some Republican lawmakers. The Texas Department of Public Safety identified Garcia as suspected of killing 8 people at a Texas outlet mall, a day after the attack turned an afternoon of shopping into a massacre. Garcia was fatally shot on Saturday by a police officer who happened to be near the suburban Dallas mall. A law enforcement official said investigators had been searching a Dallas motel near an interstate where Garcia had been staying. The official said they also found multiple weapons at the scene after Garcia was killed, including an AR-15-style rifle and a handgun. In a statement, President Joe Biden said the assailant wore tactical gear and fired an AR-15-style rifle. He again urged Congress to enact tighter restrictions on firearms and ammunition, but it's unlikely the Republican-led Congress will bother, as with each mass shooting, their resolve grows stronger. An SUV slammed into a crowd of people waiting for a bus on Sunday outside a migrant shelter in the border city of Brownsville, Texas, killing at least 7 people and injuring at least 10, police said, as they prepared to arrest the hospitalized driver. With no bench at the unmarked city bus stop, some of the victims were sitting on the curb around 8:30 a.m. when the driver hit them, surveillance video from the Bishop Enrique San Pedro Ozanam Center showed. Shelter director Victor Maldonado said the SUV ran up the curb, flipped and continued moving for about 200 feet. Some people walking on the sidewalk about 30 feet from the main group were also hit. Witnesses detained the driver as he tried to run away and held him until police arrived. Victims struck by the vehicle were waiting for the bus to return to downtown Brownsville after having spent the night at the overnight shelter, said Sister Norma Pimentel, executive director of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. Most of the victims were Venezuelan men, Maldonado said. Brownsville has seen a surge of Venezuelan migrants over the past 2 weeks, for unclear reasons, authorities said. On Thursday, 4,000 of about 6,000 migrants in Border Patrol custody in Texas's Rio Grande Valley were Venezuelan. The surge in the number of migrants this week has prompted Brownsville commissioners to indefinitely extend a declaration of emergency during a special meeting earlier this week. Brownsville has long been an epicenter for migration across the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's become a key location of interest for next week's end to pandemic-era border restrictions known as Title 42. The Ozanam shelter is the only overnight shelter in the city and manages the release of thousands of migrants from federal custody. Artificial intelligence could pose a more urgent threat to humanity than climate change, AI pioneer Geoffrey Hinton said in an interview. Hinton, widely known as one of the godfathers of AI, recently announced he had quit Google after a decade at the firm, saying he wanted to speak out on the risks of the technology without it affecting his former employer. Hinton's work is considered essential to the development of contemporary AI systems. In 1986, he co-authored the seminal paper Learning Representations by Back-Propagating Errors, a milestone in the development of the neural networks undergirding AI technology. In 2018, he was awarded the Turing Award in recognition of his research breakthroughs. But he is now among a growing number of tech leaders publicly espousing concern about the possible threat posed by AI if machines were to achieve greater intelligence than humans and take control of the planet. I wouldn't like to devalue climate change. I wouldn't like to say you shouldn't worry about climate change. That's a huge risk too, Hinton said, but I think this might end up being more urgent. He added, with climate change, it's very easy to recommend what you should do. You just stop burning carbon. If you do that, eventually things will be okay. For AI, it's not at all clear what you should do. Microsoft-backed OpenAI fired the starting pistol on a technological arms race in November when it made AI-powered chatbot ChatGPT available to the public. It soon became the fastest-growing app in history, reaching 100 million monthly users in 2 months. In April, Elon Musk joined thousands in signing an open letter calling for a 6-month pause in the development of systems more powerful than OpenAI's recently launched GPT-4. While Hinton shares signatories' concerns that AI may prove to be an existential threat to mankind, he disagreed with pausing research. In the European Union, a committee of lawmakers responded to the Musk-backed letter, calling on US President Joe Biden to convene a global summit on the future direction of the technology with European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen. Last week, the committee agreed a landmark set of proposals targeting generative AI, which would force companies like OpenAI to disclose any copyright material used to train their models. You can subscribe to the 5-Minute News Patreon for bonus videos, commentary, and more. Go to patreon.com/5minutenews.